So I'm wanting to put together a little video to talk about my experience working with Carmen in her practice. My name is Kirsten, and I was referred to Carmen actually by a Reiki practitioner I had been seeing. And the reason I started doing Reiki was because I had been having a lot of sort of vague physical ailments, and my doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm a single mother, I work full time. So they kept chalking it up to stress. And so I had, been seeing medical practitioners trying to figure out what's going on physically with my body. And one time during a massage, it just took the massage therapist telling me one thing about the flow of energy to make me seek out doing something a little bit more than what I had been doing, which was massage and acupuncture and integrative medicine. And so I started doing Reiki, and I started noticing I was having relief from physical symptoms that I had been suffering with for a year. And I had a lot of stress in my life. And as I started reading about it, I was convinced, that I really needed to figure out a way to deal with the trauma that I had had in my life. And I just became convinced that if I didn't learn how to understand and process and deal with the trauma that had occurred in my life, especially in very early parts when I was very young, that I was going to continue suffering from these physical ailments. I was particularly inspired to work through this because I'm a big believer in things like therapy in the first place, getting to know yourself so that the world is less scary. But I'm a mom, I have a 3-year-old, so I was really motivated to start working on that. And when I met Carmen, the only thing I can say is that it just felt right. I kind of feel like your intuition guides you a lot, and we just had great rapport, and it stayed that way. It's still that way. I feel comfortable with her. I guess that would be the way I explained it, is that I feel very safe and very comfortable when I work with Carmen. And the more we worked together, the more I felt that way, even when I was having very difficult days. And when I started working with her, I just noticed, even though we had had a few sessions kind of diving into the issues around trauma, even though we weren't talking about in detail these traumas each session, I noticed a big shift in my thought patterns. Before I was having a lot of rumination, a lot of negative thought patterns, a lot of, to be honest, like feeling victimized instead of processing it in a different way. Sort of like a victim of the circumstances instead of like, okay, this happened to me. How do I deal with it? How do I accept it? And working with Carmen really shifted that for me. We did many different modalities, and I love them all. But I think for me, like one of the biggest changes was when we would do body scans and figure out where these emotions lived in me. And it was really eye-opening. That is the one thing that I can use by myself on a regular basis that makes a huge difference. I was getting panic attacks before, and now if I start even amping up in my anxiety level, I have the skills, to prevent something like a panic attack. And that was profound for me. It wasn't someone giving me medicine. It wasn't someone saying, well, maybe just talk to a therapist. There's something in the way she weaves together her skills and the way she's very, very present with you when you work with her. There's something about her. And me working with her, we vibed a lot. And it out of all the therapies I've done, when I look back on them, and just to give you sort of a roundabout view, I've done massage, I've done Reiki, I do weekly acupuncture, which I love. I do weekly binaural feedback, which I love too. But there was something about when I was seeing her, especially when I saw her more than once a week, it just got results like that. And it would just spill over into every moment and in ways that I didn't anticipate. Like you wouldn't know it looking at me. I look like a normal weight size person, but I soothe myself with food a lot, especially after my son goes to bed. I'm like, this is my reward. This is my mommy reward. sit down and eat something, and my appetite was like better controlled and my weight went down and I didn't have as many cravings, like things I just could not anticipate happened. But I would say the biggest one and the main takeaway for me and the biggest problem that I was having in my life was that rumination and those negative thought patterns and feeling more victimized by my circumstances instead of feeling like an autonomous being, which I am, So I'm very grateful to Carmen for that. She really opened my eyes, and I even feel a little overwhelmed talking about it, but it was big and it was wonderful. And I'm very grateful for that experience because it's really it just opened my eyes to my own power, but it's also kind of solidified in my mind that it's really important the guides that you choose through your healing journey, especially when you're talking about some of those modalities that like aren't credentialed yet and you don't really know how to validate and verify someone's expertise. And I was just lucky enough to have someone recommend Carmen to me. I was just lucky enough to live in close distance to her, although you can see her over Zoom now, which is amazing. And I just feel blessed by it, and I'm more than happy to make this testimonial to share that with you. I think your intuition will tell you who your guide is, but I would highly recommend Carmen for your journey.